Glinda the Good Witch grants Dorothy's wish. The four travelers passed through the rest of the forest in safety, and when they came out from its gloom saw before them a steep hill covered from top to bottom with great pieces of rock. The Scarecrow led the way, and the others followed. They had nearly reached the first rock when they heard a rough voice cry out, "Keep back!" Then a head showed itself over the rock, and the voice said, "This hill belongs to us, and we don't allow anyone to cross it." And there stepped from behind the rock the strangest man the travelers had ever seen. He was quite short and stout, and had a big head, which was flat at the top, but he had no arms at all. "I'm sorry not to do as you wish, but we must pass over your hill," the Scarecrow said, and he walked boldly forward. As quick as lightning the man's head shot forward and his neck stretched out until the top of his head struck the Scarecrow in the middle and sent him tumbling over and over down the hill. Almost as quickly as it came, the head went back to the body. A chorus of boisterous laughter came from the other rocks, and Dorothy saw hundreds of the armless hammerheads upon the hillside, one behind every rock. The lion became quite angry, and giving a loud roar, he dashed up the hill. Again a head shot swiftly out, and the great lion went rolling down the hill. "Call the winged monkeys," suggested the Tin Woodman. "Very well," Dorothy answered, and putting on the golden cap she uttered the magic words. In a few moments the entire band stood before her, asking for her commands. "Carry us over the hill to the country of the Quadlings," answered the girl. As they passed over the hill, the hammerheads yelled with vexation and shot their heads high in the air, but they could not reach the winged monkeys, who carried Dorothy and her comrades safely over the hill and set them down in the beautiful country of the Quadlings. "This is the last time you can summon us," said the leader to Dorothy, "so good-bye and good luck to you." "Good-bye, and thank you very much," returned the girl, and the monkeys were out of sight in a twinkling. The country of the Quadlings seemed rich and happy. The Quadlings themselves, who were short and fat and looked chubby and good-natured, were dressed all in red. The four travelers started afresh and walked until they saw before them a very beautiful castle. Before the gates were three girls, dressed in red uniforms, trimmed with gold braid, and as Dorothy approached, one of them said, "Why have you come to the South Country?" "To see the good witch Glinda, who rules here," Dorothy answered. They were taken to a room of the castle, where they prepared themselves for their audience. When they were all quite presentable, they followed the soldier girl into a big room where the witch Glinda sat upon a throne of rubies. She was beautiful and young. Her hair was rich red and fell in flowing ringlets over her shoulders. Her dress was pure white, but her eyes were blue and kindly. "What can I do for you, my child?" she asked. Dorothy told the witch how the cyclone had brought her to the land of Oz, how she had found her companions, and of the wonderful adventures they had met with. "My greatest wish now," she added, "is to get back to Kansas, for Aunt Em will surely think something dreadful has happened to me." Glinda leaned forward and kissed the loving little girl. "I am sure I can tell you of a way to get back to Kansas," she said, "but you must give me the golden cap." "Willingly!" exclaimed Dorothy. "Indeed, it is of no use to me now." Dorothy then gave her the golden cap, and the witch said to Dorothy's companions, "What will you do when Dorothy has left us?" The Scarecrow said he planned to return to the Emerald City to rule over the people there. The Tin Woodman wanted to go back to the land of the Winkies in the West, where he'd been asked to rule, and the Lion wished to return to the grand old forest where the animals had asked him to be their king. The Good Witch Glinda promised to use her 3 commands to the winged monkeys to get each to his separate destination. Then, having used up the powers of the golden cap, Glinda would give it to the King of the Monkeys, that they might be free forevermore. Dorothy exclaimed, "You are certainly as good as you are beautiful." But you have not yet told me how to get back to Kansas." "Your silver shoes will carry you over the desert," replied Glinda. "If you had known their power, you could have gone back to your Aunt Em the very first day you came to this country." "But then I should not have had my wonderful brains!" cried the Scarecrow. "And I should not have had my lovely heart," said the Tin Woodman. And I should have lived a coward forever," declared the Lion. "This is all true," said Dorothy, "and I am glad for these good friends. But now I should like to go back to Kansas." "The silver shoes," said the Good Witch, "have wonderful powers. They can carry you to any place in the world in 3 steps, and each step will be made in the wink of an eye. All you have to do is knock the heels together 3 times and command the shoes to carry you wherever you wish to go." Dorothy hugged and kissed her friends good-bye, and Glinda the Good stepped down from her ruby throne to give the little girl a good-bye kiss. Dorothy thanked her for all her kindness she had shown to her friends and herself. Dorothy now took Toto up solemnly in her arms, and having said one last good-bye, she clapped the heels of her shoes together 3 times, saying, "Take me home to Aunt Em." Instantly she was whirling through the air so swiftly that all she could see or feel was the wind whistling past her ears. The silver shoes took but 3 steps, and then she stopped so suddenly that she rolled over on the grass several times before she knew where she was. At length, however, she sat up and looked about her. "Good gracious!" she cried, for she was sitting on the broad Kansas prairie, and just before her was the new farmhouse Uncle Henry built after the cyclone had carried away the old one. Uncle Henry was milking the cows, and Toto had jumped out of her arms and was running toward him, barking furiously. Dorothy found she was in her stocking feet, for the silver shoes had fallen off in her flight through the air, and were lost forever in the desert. Aunt Em had just come out of the house when she looked up and saw Dorothy running toward her. "My darling child!" she cried, folding the little girl in her arms, covering her face with kisses. "Where in the world did you come from?" "From the land of Oz," said Dorothy gravely. "And here is Toto, too. And oh, Aunt Em, I am so glad to be home again."